Hello everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul and today, once again, we have the inimitable JJ here in the studio. How's it going, JJ?
I'm doing all right, man. Thank you for asking.
Well, thank you for being here and thank you for bringing all of this hardware here and thank you for being so kind to accept your new nickname, Dr. ASUS.
I take it with a big sense of responsibility to give you guys the best information I can. So
well, it is. You are well deserving of the honor. So I want to hear in the comments section you guys saying thanks to Dr. ASUS for coming today. Anyway, what we're here to talk about is the new line of Z87 boards from ASUS. These are to support Intel's new Haswell processors, which will now be known as Intel's 4th generation core processors. And what we're looking at today is what you might be familiar with as the mainstream line of of motherboards. We've referred to them as channel boards in the past. So let's talk about design philosophy because ASUS is all about design philosophy. You guys want to have a motherboard that will suit the needs of just about anybody, no matter what their computing desires may be. So where does the mainstream series of boards fall into that hierarchy?
You know, they pretty much kind of have to fit the bill of meeting almost everybody's point of flexibility. You know, at the end of the day, you know, we're passionate about bringing what we feel are the most innovative, most reliable, and the most performance-oriented products on the market. Whether you know it's through products like ROG, whether it's through the Tough Series, WS, or our mainstream series product. What we do really try to fundamentally do is, you know, look at the feedback that we get from, you know, the technical media that, say, I work with, the community users that we also work with, whether it's in forums or social media, at events, or our users as a whole collectively as we gauge them for feedback. And we try to then take that into the design stages and try to actually put it into the product itself, so that when we design something, let's say like a WS product, we're really trying to make it geared towards somebody in the content creation field. Or when we do something in the ROG space, we really want to try to, you know, embolden and enhance features that are about somebody that's interested in gaming or interested in enthusiast class level functionality, whether it's going to be from overclocking or just from a tweaking perspective, right? And with the mainstream, because this is the core of our entire motherboard division, you know, really what we have to try to do is create the ethos of what's going to represent ASUS as a whole. And what that usually means is, one, innovation for sure. You're going to have a consistent level of design features and functionality that you're going to have across all these boards, but that are going to flow into all the other segmentation series boards as well. And you know, they're equally going to be great at, you know, gaming. They're going to be great at content creation. They're going to be great at everyday productivity, and they're going to serve, you know, all those little areas in between. And whether there's overlap, that's fine. The main differentiation that's going to come into play, if you look at one of the other segmentations, is going to be that there might be a couple more specialized technologies that really help to improve the experience that you might have as a gamer, or as maybe somebody that wants enhanced reliability or more advanced monitoring. You know, and that's what you're going to start to break away. We're saying, well, maybe a better choice would be, instead of maybe the Pro, might be, let's say, our Z87 Tough or our new Maximus Hero board if I'm a gamer, right? But you know, overall, you can always feel confident that when you pick the mainstream series board, you're getting that ASUS quality, that innovation, the performance, and really what we feel is an unmatched level of flexibility and functionality, whether it's in the software, in the hardware layout, or even in things like the UEFI. So that's hopefully what you're getting, you know, when you take a look at what our mainstream series is bringing to the table.
All right, that was a very good explanation and very thorough, but I'm going to refer to what everyone else has been thinking the whole time you're talking. Yeah. Where's the blue? What happened to the blue, JJ?
I know, we've had blue, gosh, for a really long time. If we go back, we've had it since P55. So almost, I think, about 3 years, actually, that we've been running what was essentially our company color. And, you know, we've been working on this for almost about a year, this actual considerate refresh to consider phasing in an entirely new color for our mainstream series. Us being the biggest board vendor out there in the market, this was, as you can imagine, a pretty serious undertaking to kind of consider what's going to be our new color choice. You know, and after a lot of internal debate, we decided on gold, and this kind of came from the consensus, not only as being the market leader, but what we feel in terms of the design and the feature set, that we kind of set the gold standard when it comes to motherboards. So that's what you're seeing here, is you're seeing gold represented across all these boards, whether it's going to be even in our value-oriented SKUs like the Dash A, the Pro and the mid-range, or even, you know, our perennial kind of stalwarts where people are looking for the most feature-rich in boards like the Deluxe, or even, you know, our mini ITX solutions, as you get this gold aesthetic, which we think is, you know, it really helps to represent and give you that sense that you're getting a premium product, not just in the look, but, you know, in the design and the feature set, and that we're pushing forward.
And I personally feel like I'm always torn when it comes to aesthetics when you're talking about internal computer parts. Like I always want to say to myself, like all I should really care about is the functionality.
Yeah.
If it works, if it's fast, if it's trouble-free, then that should be all that matters. But aesthetics is fun too. So it's a big change. Like JJ said, there are the reasons behind it. But we, again, would love to hear you guys' feedback if you want to post your comments on the new color scheme. And of course, if it doesn't happen to be your thing, there's lots of other series of boards from ASUS that are also available. I personally like the boards, especially, I don't know if we'll give you a close-up shot of this system over here that has one installed in it. I think it gives it a really nice look overall. But we'd love to hear your feedback on that.
Definitely.
With that said, apart from the aesthetics, let's take a close-up look at each of these boards in line. So we have them kind of laid up in sort of a hierarchy here. We got the Z87A, Z87 Plus, Z87 Pro, the Z87 Expert, the Z87 the Z87 Deluxe, and the Z87 Dual Deluxe. Or is it Deluxe Dual?
Deluxe Dual.
Deluxe Dual.
Yeah.
So there's kind of the stepping up, all the way up the chain. You'll notice we got a couple mini ITX boards here in the middle as well. We're going to briefly refer to those, but we're going to cover those as well in a separate video. But really quick, we also have a new naming scheme for these as well. If you guys, I just listed off all the names. You've dropped the like the P8 that you might have had in the past at the beginning.
Totally can't get it past anything past you.
No, well, I like motherboards. What can
No,
I say?
and I'm with you, man. 100% love them as well. So yeah, we just want to try things make a little bit more transparent, hopefully clear for the users. You know, we always get a lot of questions trying to figure out, you know, what does the name mean, or how's one board different from another board. So to try to make it more simplified and straightforward, we've just focused on the chipset, which is the initial part of the name, so Z87, very straightforward, and then our naming convention. So dash A is representing, you know, what we feel to be the best in terms of total value. So you still get kind of the ASUS quality, a strong feature set, very good performance in terms of the board, but kind of focusing on just key areas of value in terms of what the user is looking for, and then we progress up from there. So if we take a look at some of the new naming, the new model names that we have phased in, you'll see how this kind of maybe fits at helping you understand where the product stack goes. So you're going to, of course, have the Plus, which is a new name which kind of replaces the previous kind of just dash V. Let's take as an example, or what we sometimes coined as the standard board, right? And that's Plus because we feel that even at that point, you're going to get plus levels of functionality or feature set incorporated on the board. We then go to Pro, which steps you up from Plus at being a professional, right? You're somebody that's taking advantage more of key technologies, more performance oriented. You kind of have a better grasp of the things that you want to be able to utilize on a motherboard. So you're more of a kind of a professional user. It doesn't mean that you're using it in a professional sense for like exclusively, you know, office productivity or content creation, but you're, you know, you're a pro, you know, at using a system and at building systems, and you want a board that represents that. For guys that even want to take it to the next level, and guys that are real followers of ASUS, you might be familiar with a SKU that we used to call the Evo, which sat underneath the Deluxe. We've reintroduced that now into our product stack, but we've rebranded it under Expert. So what are you, once you pass Pro level, you're an expert, right? You really understand a great deal about your hardware. You're looking for more advanced levels of connectivity and more flexibility. So that's what the Expert gives you. And then you go up to the kind of the perennial stalwart that we always have, which is the Deluxe, which is kind of best in class. It's the Deluxe, right? It's about giving you as much as we can kind of try to pack into a board. Great performance, great feature set, a lot of innovation, you know, really great expansion flexibilities. And the Deluxe Dual is just kind of a special version of that Deluxe with some added connectivity and a special accessory.
All right, so there's the layout for you guys. Let's go ahead and move back down to the Z87A.
Sure.
You mind grabbing that for me, JJ? And we'll give our viewers a closer look. So let's talk about layout. You guys might be familiar with, of course, it's pretty similar to Z77 boards that you might have seen in the past. You got your CPU socket, memory DIMMs, PCI and PCI Express connectivity down there. Chipsets located right there. Serial ATA connectivity, some heat sinks right over the power delivery areas, and apart from that, if you're jumping into the Z87A, what other highlights of this board would you like to point out?
Well, you know, like always, one of the biggest things we talk about is ASUS design consistency. We try to have a lot of non-negotiable features that not only are going to be present on our higher-end SKUs, but even kind of go down to some of our more value or entry-level SKUs, and that's definitely definitely holds true for the A. So the A is really focused for somebody that wants a great board but doesn't necessarily need a lot of extra amenities on the board, such as maybe supplemental standard controllers or Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, things like that. But they still want a board that overclocks well. They still want the ability to have, multi-GPU support, good expansion connectivity, and they still want maybe supplemental features that they don't realize they can have in a value board but are offered. So an example might be you're going to see a ton of fan connectivity on the board. They're all 4-pin headers, but they all feature our Fan Expert 2 technology, so that means you can fully support both 3-pin and 4-pin fans. For this generation, we've even phased that now in for the CPU headers.
Okay.
So every single one of them will support 3-pin and 4-pin control, and that's adjustable within the software as well as directly within the UEFI, so you got a huge amount of flexibility. We've even phased in an entirely new connector specifically for the CPU header, where there's an internal depressant switch, where when you go ahead and plug in your 3-pin or your 4-pin fan, it will auto-detect what that fan is and set that accordingly, so that you won't even have to go ahead and define that information. We don't compromise in terms of the quality, even in terms of the power delivery section. These are still utilizing 5K capacitors versus what the industry tends to utilize, which is only 2K rated capacitors. These are fully molded inductors. I've personally overclocked this board actually to 4.8 and 4 DIMMs at 2800. So this board is just as competent in terms of overclocking capability. The only thing you might lose out a little bit is on maybe some of the thermal efficiency, because you don't have maybe a larger heatsink assembly. It's going to run a little bit hotter, right? But overall, we're still using full, good quality, high quality components. You're fully covering all the MOSFETs, so you don't have to worry about them maybe burning out or anything like that. You're still going to get that heat dissipation. And you're still going to get some nice supplemental technologies like USB 3 boost to improve your USB 3 performance. And plus our UEFI. Now, we're not going to cover it in this board overview video. We're going to have a specific video that we're going to do on the UEFI and some really, really outstanding options. So I really recommend you guys check out that UEFI video. There's going to be stuff that is available there that I don't think anybody ever thought would be possible.
Nice.
So we're really excited about that. And that's the kind of stuff that you're going to continue to get even in this value-oriented SKU. So I think a lot of great connectivity, great level of functionality in both the software as well as in the hardware layout, and kind of all the key things you need. And lastly, even still maintain our TPU and EPU technologies. So for those guys that maybe want a quick and easy way to overclock, but don't want to have to set anything up or don't have the knowledge, they can just flip it into the second stage. 4.25 gigahertz on the flip of a switch.
Very nice. So a nice, easy overclocking option. Manual overclocking also available, as you mentioned. Some nice, clean-looking heat sinks as well. So all in all, a very, very solid, value-oriented board for just about anybody who wants to set up a Haswell-based system. Yeah. So moving up from the Z87A to the Z87 Plus. Now for the Plus, let's see. Let's talk about it in relation to the Z87A. What sort of upgrades do you get by jumping up to the Plus?
So you're going to get a little bit more. So if we take a look over, we're going to have 8 SATA ports versus the 6 SATA ports that were on the Dash A SKU. So that's going to be a little bit of a bump up. You get a 1061 controller here to give you some supplemental SATA 6G connectivity.
And 6 SATA ports is also, by the way, in case you missed our Z87 intro video, natively supported by the Z87 chipset, so all running at SATA Rev 3, 6 gigabits per second.
Correct, and we're also going to go to a little bit actually higher performance VRM assembly. You're going to actually go to fully molded alloy-based inductors.
Okay.
So they have a higher level of power output, so it's just going to give you a little bit better stability, a little bit better power output. But overall, in terms of the overclockability, that A SKU is outstanding. You're essentially going to be able to push that board to what the limits are going to be applicable to your cooling that you're going to utilize. So in that respect, the Deluxe is going to essentially clock just as good as the Dash A. It's just the Deluxe might be able to do it a little bit cooler, and with maybe a little bit added more reliability because of the reduced temperatures and the higher quality power design that's going to be present on the Deluxe. But overall, you're not going to get compromised, and that's definitely going to hold true here as well. So here we're going to, of course, maintain the rest of the things we discussed, such as the fan control functionality, the TPU design, some great expansion. We are going to change up some of the backplane connectivity here, where you also incorporate a mini DP output as well. So that's going to give you a little bit more flexibility at running multiple displays versus what the Dash A would have to offer.
All right, so some additional connectivity there in the backplane.
And a little bit more connectivity in terms of the total number of the fan headers, but still same class of controls in terms of the full Fan Expert 2 technology, so fully available in the UEFI as well as in the software.
Right. And as the name implies, the Plus gives you more stuff.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
Right. Next up, we have the Z87 Pro.
So the Pro is going to really actually step it up to a whole nother bracket. So starting from the Pro all the way up to the rest of the boards that we're going to discuss, Wi-Fi is going to be integrated as a default. So you're going to maintain that. And that's kind of similar to what we did in the previous generation, that we kind of, once we hit that kind of key SKU, every single board up from there was going to feature that key design technology integrated into it. So if you remember on a Z77, we had the same thing. So Z87 is going to hold true, except we've made an update. For this, going from the Pro all the way up, every solution is going to be dual band wireless along with Bluetooth integrated on the motherboard. As we get to the deluxe SKU, we'll see that there's something special in terms of the Wi-Fi implementation that's even superior to the 802.11n that's being used on the Pro board. But we also made a change to the actual module itself. So this is the Wi-Fi Go module. So if I can show you guys right here, this little guy. It's a new designed housing, so it even provides us better shielding to go ahead and help to ensure better performance and better reliability for the wireless controller. And we've gone ahead and designed a new interconnect system that actually is PCI Express based, providing us better throughput, lower latency, and overall a better quality of experience. Now the housing itself also has a different form of antenna connectivity where we use full-size SMA-based antennas. The great thing about that is that of course we continue to include our magnetic antennas that are inside the box, but if you want to go ahead and upgrade to a higher set of higher amplification antenna, you can go ahead and service those on there and you're good to go, and you can take advantage of either improving the throughput, the range, or if you're using the motherboard in its access point repeater mode functionality, you could use it to extend your primary wireless signal that's in your home as well. So a great deal of flexibility that you have with the dual band and Wi-Fi built on board along with Bluetooth. And we'll make note as well is that the design, while it's more complicated and expensive to integrate in the way that we have, it doesn't impact any of your PCIe slot expansion.
I was going to say
that's a nice touch.
That's been one of my favorite things about the ASUS Wi-Fi implementation. It's not something that you always see in desktop boards, but I find if you're going for a full ATX motherboard, chances are you're going to have some plans to make use of your PCI Express connectivity. Having a little riser card up here by your I/O basically frees up all your PCI Express slots, so you're not going to be eating up one of those with an add-on Wi-Fi card. Correct.
Now in addition to that, we also go ahead and continue our theme of using Intel NICs. So this board features the latest generation of Intel's network controller. This is the new i series, i200 series. The i200 series in its outstanding controller, it actually lowers even lower CPU utilization, higher throughput, and even more robust power management options, as well as overall networking management options. So if you're looking at the best of the best in terms of an integrated network controller, the Intel NIC is going to be that choice for you. Now we continue to tie that in with our iNetwork control software, which is quality of service, so you can make adjustments to things like, you know, Hulu, Steam, downloading applications or any of your web browsers. If you want to go ahead and make sure to get the best experience from any online-based connected application, you can go ahead and just go in there and assign the priority for it, and you're good to go. Now you're also going to get a number of other improvements even in the hardware design. So we still keep those alloy-based inductors, but we go to much higher performance heat sinks that we're going to have on board. And this board is also going to feature our brand new DIP4, Dual Intelligent Processor 4 technology design, which enables a special feature that we call four-way optimization. Now, Paul, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with dual intelligent processors, so the TPU and the EPU.
Yes.
As well as in the past we've had AI Suite. So this generation we actually have an entirely new version of AI Suite 3. It's been redesigned from the ground up, entirely different new look and feel, even more functionality. And with that we have four-way optimization. The great thing with this board is in a single click you'll be able to automatically do full automated overclocking that's real-time and dynamic and system-specific to your CPU and your cooling solution, but it will also automatically run our Fan Expert 2 technology, so it will auto-calibrate and set all your fans as well. It will then also do a full power management optimization where it will actually reapply a reduced power profile for your CPU so that when it's under idle, it will consume less power. And for the board that features supplemental SATA controllers or USB controllers, it can even turn those controllers off when you're not in use of them in an idle stage. And lastly, we'll go ahead and make specific power management configurations for you. So that's why we call it four-way optimization. You're truly getting an unprecedented level of control all happening in one button click. Just go in there and all those things will be executed for you. And when you come back to the system, you essentially have an optimized platform.
So all of those little tweaks and adjustments that you might make after you first get your system all set up for you, that's a one-button click. So like, I always hate it sometimes. You'll get a system set up, you'll turn it on, and all your fans are spinning at full bore.
Yeah.
So you'll dig into the UEFI or the BIOS and figure out where those settings are and adjust them all individually. Fan Expert 2, of course, takes care of that for you. It's done it in the past. but with the integrated forward optimization, you get that. You get the overclocking as well.
Yep.
And what are the other two? Say them again.
The power optimization technology, which also controls the supplemental controllers, and then from there, power management options. So things like the DigiPlus VRM power management options, which you might have to tune for either efficiency or for better stability under overclocking, all get configured as well. So you get that on this Pro board. You get the Intel NIC. You get the dual band Wi-Fi with the Bluetooth. You get USB Charger Plus, right, which is of course our ability to quick charge any iOS or Kindle or Windows Mobile or Android-based device, whether you're sleep or hibernation or powered off. We even update the audio codec to the new ALC 1150, so that's an improvement from the previous 800 series.
Nice.
And you still keep, of course, all the things that we've already discussed, whether it's the advanced fan connectivity, the TPU technology, or things like USB BIOS flashback, which we didn't touch on even in the previous SKUs, but they also still featured it, where we have that ability to flash the UEFI, so that chip that stores our UEFI code, no CPU, no memory, no graphics card. All I need to do is just plug in the power, plug it into a USB port, and update it directly, and I'm good to go.
And that is still one of my favorite motherboard features that you guys have come out with for quite some time. Another thing I wanted to point out, just even starting with the Plus board right here, you had an actual surface-mounted power button. I love having those, and here. And then here you've also added the debug LED, which is another great feature. I love having a debug LED available.
Now, one other option that you're going to have here is that, of course, in tying with the debug LED, we tend to try to focus in on our QLED technology because a lot of users don't understand debug codes. So, of course, there's going to be 4 LEDs, one for the CPU, one for the DRAM, one for the graphics card, and one for the boot device, that depending if any one of those issues crop up during your installation or during your post-process, you'll get a locked LED light in that section, letting you know, hey, maybe I need to reseat my graphics card, or maybe there's an issue with my memory, I need to reseat it. Maybe use the MemOK button so that I can reset the memory back to a fail-safe value and get it back up and running. Now, there's a couple of other just small little touches too that you're also going to get on the Pro, such as Direct Key. So that's an onboard button that lets you reboot directly into the UEFI, so you guys don't have to worry about hitting a delete key. Just hit that button and you'll reboot straight into the UEFI.
Also, with as fast as these boards are booting these days, sometimes you don't even see that splash screen that tells you to hit the delete button.
Now, of course, one value point is that buttons don't really serve you any function once it's inside of a chassis. So how do we counteract that? We actually have a special header that's on the chassis as well. That if you want, you can run your reset power lead from your chassis to this header, and then when you press your reset button, it'll do the same thing as the direct key button.
Oh, really?
So if you ever just want a one-button way to be able to relaunch directly into the UEFI, you can go ahead and do that as well. So you can see that when you go from kind of the Dash A or the Plus all the way to the Pro, you're getting a huge upgrade on a number of different points, where you're really ramping up the connectivity, the performance, the quality of the componentry. You're pretty much getting everything you got before, but getting a whole lot more.
Excellent. All right, so I think that about wraps up for the Pro.
Sure.
And we will set our Wi-Fi module off to the side there. Now we'll pause for a brief commercial for the ASUS Mini ITX mainstream boards. You can see a couple of them right here. We have the Z87i Deluxe, which is... Or
the Golden Beast, as I like to call it.
The Golden Beast, as JJ has named it. So there's a quick look at that. I feel that these Mini ITX boards are just special in a way that we should do a separate video on them.
100%
agree. Stay tuned for that, guys. We'll have a separate video covering these two Mini ITX boards here. The Deluxe, of course, as well as a Plus version, if you don't need quite all of the functionality of the Deluxe, also available right there. Again, just a quick look, a quick commercial. Stay tuned for that. We're going to continue with our full ATX boards. So here is the Z87 Expert. So going from Pro to Expert, what has the Expert learned from the Pro?
Well, the Expert is just going to go ahead and continue to amp it up in terms of what we're looking at in terms of total connectivity. So you're pretty much just pushing up all the total connections, plus you're getting a couple of special points, so such as like you're going to get mini DP where you don't get mini DP over there. You're going to get more overall total connections on the board than you're going to have on that board, and the power componentry is also going to be elevated as well. So for the most part, pretty much you can think that you're getting a Pro class board, but you're getting a bit more in terms of each one of these aspects are kind of added one upon. So this is kind of a great way that what you want to do is kind of take a look at the board, see in terms of the total number of connectivity points that you have, and see if you're going to want to go ahead and maybe step up to the Expert in terms of giving you just that much of an improvement in terms of what you already have.
Excellent. So there's a quick look at the Expert. Again, the same layout and design aesthetic that we've seen from all the boards in this series so far. Shall we move on to the Deluxe?
Sure.
Deluxe is up next. And just in case you guys were wondering, the Wi-Fi Go riser card is installed on these boards that we're showing here. So as opposed to the Pro over there where we showed you it separate, here's where it's actually mounted.
And they actually come pre-installed for this generation as well, so you don't have to worry about trying to put them on.
All right, so the removal was just JJ's way of showing you how awesome that riser card is.
So with the Deluxe, you know, we pretty much try to go all out, so you even are going to get more. So a couple of key differentiations. One is that we go to integrated 802.11 AC. So instead of having 802.11n, you got AC on board. That's a 2x2 solution. In our testing, because it's PCI Express, it's actually giving us really outstanding performance. We've been able to hit close to almost 450 megabits of throughput on it. So very impressive performance that you're going to have, you know, for you guys that are streaming out large, high quality content, whether it's audio or video, doing images or doing, you know, low latency, you know, gaming. This is going to be a great option for you. You're going to step up to 2 NICs onto this board, one being an Intel iSeries NIC and the other one being the latest generation Realtek Gigabit Ethernet NIC. You're also going to go ahead and step up to 10 SATA 6G ports that are on the board, so 4 being provided by the AS Media 1061 and then the 6 that are provided directly by the PCH. You're also going to step up to even a higher level of inductors. These inductors are higher performance and higher amperage output than what we are offering even in terms of the alloy inductors on that board. So 16 stage power, and you can see that these even have a special aesthetic where if you take a look at them, you're actually going to see ASUS emboldened into the center of the aesthetic to kind of add that real premium touch to let you know that you've even gotten that much better quality hardware on your board.
And it's gold.
Yeah, and so you can see 2 of them right here, right next to the DRAM profile. And of course, we keep everything else that we've talked about. So you still have like the ALC 1150, you still of course get all the onboard buttons, the debug LED, the USB charger, USB 3 boost, the network eye control, the Wi-Fi Go package, the 4-way optimization. All that stuff is maintained. So you're never going to lose anything by going up in the product stack. You're only going to continue to get more in terms of the tonal connectivity. Now, one real big touchstone point that we have on the Deluxe is this little chip right here in the center. So in between the 2 by 16 slots that we have enabled on the board, this one, just like all the other boards, is generally focused at 2-way users. So 2-way SLI, 2-way Crossfire, or if you're a quad user, so like 2 GTX 690s or something like that, of course you could also do that on this board. But this PLX is not a Gen 3 PLX, so it's not designed for enabling 3 or 4-way support. But what it does allow us to do is multiplex additional PCI lanes to have more concurrent lanes be active. So that's going to be critical because as maybe a user you progress from something, let's say like a Plus to a Deluxe, you're probably also more likely to have multiple storage devices. Maybe you have, you know, 2 or 3 SSDs, right? Maybe you have a RAID 0 and then you have 2 drives for storage purposes, right? And maybe you then have a DVD burner and maybe even a Blu-ray burner, right? Maybe you're using both Ethernet ports because you're running out to a local NAS and then the other one's connected to your primary internet connection, right? You know, all of those require a PCIe lane, and once you start to utilize them, all of them at the same time, eventually one of the lanes could be shut off and that device would no longer be active. So what we do to mitigate that and to help to allow you to maintain consistent connectivity is the inclusion of this Plx chip. So that's also one of the key differentiators between, let's say, the Pro or the Plus and let's say the Deluxe series product.
So if you really have a ton of peripherals that you're planning on connecting, if you have a lot of storage, if you're going to be doing a 2-way Crossfire X or SLI configuration plus additional add-on cards, then that is going to help to maintain available bandwidth and stability for all the PCI lanes?
Correct.
PCI Express.
And like I said, overall in terms of connectivity, you're pretty much not going to get you're not going to be missing anything. You're pretty much going to get everything you're looking for. There are still some areas to even improve upon further, whereas we didn't touch on it completely on the Expert, but the Expert features Thunderbolt along with that mini DP port on the side, whereas compared to the Deluxe, the standard Deluxe has a mini DP port exclusively, so it's only for display output purposes, while on the actual Expert board, the Expert features Thunderbolt and DisplayPort output configurations. Now for you guys that want to take advantage of every spec that the Deluxe has, but also want to be able to incorporate Thunderbolt, we've got you covered in the Deluxe Dual.
All right, so let's move on to that. I also want to point out there's a surface mounted reset button. Okay.
So here we've got the Deluxe Dual. Now the Deluxe Dual is going to step up to pretty much be everything that the standard Deluxe has to offer, but update us to 2 integrated Thunderbolt connections, and with the rest of the connectivity be identical. Now there also be a special accessory that come included inside this box. Some of you guys maybe might have the latest generation smartphones that might be on the market, or maybe a latest generation tablet. If you do, you might have a technology that's called NFC, or Near Field Communications. So ASUS is going to be a leader once again at offering the latest generation of connectivity. We're going to be the first board vendor to give you, 811 AC, just like we were the first ones to give you dual band with Bluetooth incorporated. And this generation, we're going to include NFC in the box for this model. So there'll be a breakout box that connects to a USB 3 port. It will actually give you 2 USB 3 ports as well, so it'll serve as a hub solution. And that NFC solution will come with our Wi-Fi Go package, so that you'll be able to go ahead and do cool levels of functionality. And we'll show this in one of our other videos, but you'll be able to do things like log in your system, launch applications, and even transfer files from your, let's say, your mobile device to your system in very easy ways, where pretty much you're just going to pass it over the actual NFC box and you'll be able to execute those items.
Nice. So I'm kind of looking forward to being able to walk up to my computer with my smartphone and it just logs me in.
Yes. And the one other cool point that I want to make is that that NFC box will be sold as an accessory and be compatible with any one of these A-series ASUS Z87 series motherboards. So if you do want to say, let's just save some money and maybe focus in on a board that has the feature set that you want, whether it's something like the Dash A or the Plus series SKU, you'll still be able to take advantage of that NFC technology that we're bringing.
Excellent. So available, sold separately, and works with any of these boards that you can see here. Would that include the Mini ITX boards as well?
That's correct. Exclusive to ASUS series product.
Beautiful. All right. And I think that wraps it up for the mainstream boards.
Yeah, I'd say from there, let's go ahead and
all right,
jump to our next video.
I'm going to shift this back over here. We have lots of work yet to do, but that is going to wrap it up for this video, guys. So thanks for bearing with us. We've had a lot of information here. JJ always brings the heat when it comes to talking about motherboards, but we really appreciate all the information he shares, and we really appreciate you guys watching this entire video. So if you'd like to see more, of course, whether we're talking additional videos about the ASUS Z87 boards, all available on our YouTube channel. If they're not up now, they will be up soon. Thanks again, JJ, for stopping by today.
Thank you for having me.
And if you guys would like to see more tech videos in general, of course, our Newegg TV YouTube channel is where you would go for those. Don't forget to subscribe. Like this video if you like the fire hose of knowledge that JJ brings. And we'll see you next time on Newegg TV.